What's up, guys? How we doing?
Doing good.
Good. Wednesday, February 18th. A little bit tardy this morning, but here we are, 10:08 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We're back for another Packet Community Roundtable, also known as PKT Live. What's new in the world, folks?
Yeah, just got a lot of weather coming at us.
How's the weather? I know it's sunny here. Well, short-lived sun. It was sunny for a second. Now it looks like rain's coming back in.
It's sunny here. It's beautiful. I went for a run this morning. Feeling it.
Yeah,
Nice.
Storm passed through in Santa Barbara, so it's
well, it's coming back.
Yeah. It's coming back. It's coming back.
You guys are a couple like a day behind from where we are up here. And it's been we got thunder. I mean, we never get any thunder and lightning here, and we got a little bit.
Yeah,
well,
actually we got
last
some
night
here.
for sure.
Yeah, we got some here last night as well in Santa Barbara. So yeah, good, nice little storm for California. I think you said it's dumping like 5 or 6 feet of snow in Tahoe.
Yeah. I've been looking at my friends' Instagrams, just watching them just scoop snow for like 6 hours straight.
Yeah,
Still scooping. You're like, fuck, your life sucks. Come to California.
Need a tool for that. But yeah, it's a good storm.
Apparently, sorry to interrupt you guys, but apparently there's an issue with X. So this isn't. It's not being posted on. It's showing up on our X account, but it's not posted. So you guys chat it up. Let me figure out how to find it so I can post it.
Okay.
We're gonna chat it up here. That's what we do. Just chatty Cathy's over here.
Yeah, well, we'll save the good news once we know it's activated for the rest of the community. But definitely got some good news, I guess, in terms of things finally breaking through to the other side. So we'll share once you figure out how to get the X stream crack-a-lackin'.
Yeah, what's going on in the world of crypto?
I haven't even looked. Well, I guess last I looked, it was not looking good.
It's not a happy day for people that bought the top.
Yeah. Well, hopefully you're, as they always say, dollar cost average into this market, and
well, it went all the way
down.
It dipped to 60.
Dip keeps dipping,
It bounced off of 60.
Really? Last night?
Oh no, that's one day. No, I'm on the daily. Never mind.
Wow.
No, it dipped down to 60 on Friday.
There
you go. Whatever you did, Jeremy, it worked.
I posted it.
The S&P 500 gold and S&P 500 and gold, and they're all like close enough that any one of them could conceivably be any of the others. So I just looked at the numbers. I was like, "What? Wow, that's up. Oh no, that's the other one. Oh, that's okay."
Yeah, that's par for the course.
Yeah, well, we can get into it because it's pretty cool news now that we are actually live.
Yeah, there we go. I sent it out to everybody.
Okay. Let's see here. Yeah, I haven't logged into my TradingView account, so finally in there. Yeah, Bitcoin's, I guess, just holding on for dear life.
For dear life.
Chart looks like absolute poo-poo.
Like I said, these markets give you so much opportunity to buy the bottom and sell the top. You just get so much confirmation that here it's like spends a lot of time at the bottom, spends a lot of time at the top, makes trading easier.
Actually,
unless you're trying to catch that wick. But if you're not trying to catch the wick, it's pretty pretty approachable.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think the hard part is if you're, trying to be a long-term, investor, let's say, into cryptocurrencies and, treating them like stocks, and you're just like, yeah, I hold. And you see it at 125,000 and now you're seeing it at 65,000. That's tough to stomach. And I think that, I even had, my mom call me and be like, hey, yeah, I think I'm going to sell. I'm just like, what? You didn't sell at 125. Why would you sell at at 65? Like, it doesn't make any sense. But the instinct is like, I just want to preserve what I have because I'm up, and I'll just take my small gains from having bought all those years ago so that I don't lose them if it goes down further. And it's like, but you're not a trader, you're a long-term investor. Like, you don't even need this money, so it's just sitting there. But still, it sucks, because really what she should have done is sold in October, and she could have doubled her bag if she was buying back today. So obviously, hindsight being 2020, and it's just hard for, I think, the average person to stomach, these swings. But I did see a really interesting stat about Bitcoin. So it said something to the effect of like, Bitcoin goes up by, actually, I'm going to just butcher this, but let's say the number was that Bitcoin goes up by 20 or 30% per year. But it actually only does that across 2 trading weeks out of the entire year. And they're not sequential weeks, meaning a couple handfuls of days are these large gaining days. And the remainder of the year, it's basically down. And so, but then it ultimately gains, and then we know it comes back and tests previous range high. But for those periods that it gains, it goes up a lot, relatively speaking, for how big of an asset it is. So it's just kind of a weird thing that basically saying that approximately 40 something weeks out of the year, Bitcoin is volatile, sometimes disgusting, sometimes you're down dramatically. And then there's a few weeks out of the year where it's euphoric, you're up a big position. And I think maybe the lesson is, learn how to trim profits and then reinvest on those other days when it's down. I mean, even for a casual investor, or just don't look at it and, check back in 2 to 5 years.
There's kind of a rule of thumb when you've 2-3x, you just scrape a little bit off the top. Yeah. And then you wait. Cause I mean, it takes many years to understand. Because what happens usually is you're like, okay, let's say you bought Bitcoin at 16,000. Okay. Now you're at 100,000. You're like, holy fuck. I just 4x'd my bag. Right. Then you're like, well, I don't want to sell it because it could go up even more. It's like, motherfucker, you just 4x'd your bag. Take a little bit off, because we know it's time tested over and over and over and over and over again that when what goes up must come down. And Bitcoin is a prime example. Is it going to come back down to 16K? Probably not ever. I mean, there is a chance where it could flash crash, and, people with, huge bags sitting at the bottom waiting to buy could get lucky, but the chances are really slim. But is it going to hit 50K again? I mean, could, it's not unlikely. It's not
bet on it. Well,
yeah, well, we got to bet on it. I think it's $100 if it hits 50K again. We got down. So it's, it goes down to another 10 G's. We're back. I'm $100 richer. But the point is that it takes just being a part of something for long enough to understand that when you're up, skim a little prop. You don't have to sell your whole bag.
I think it also just depends on what your strategy is. If your strategy is that you're a long-time holder, then do what Caleb did and do nothing. If you're a trader and you're trying to build your bag, then there's, you sell the top and buy the bottom. It's great
But
strategy.
I think what Jeremy's saying is like more of a hybrid trader. And, even the average, managed account, 401k investor is having somebody trim, their portfolio and reinvest it. That's what's happening with a managed account,
Sure.
And I think to your point, Josh, is like, you're not a trader, or let's say the average Joe isn't a trader. So they're not taking those types of actions of like trimming, when it's high and then reinvesting it when it's low. And they probably should, because if they had a managed account at Fidelity, that's what Fidelity would be doing, just to make sure, because that is a growth strategy. And I watch them do it. Like I said, I have seen many 401k managed account, and seen what they do. And when the market is up, they're selling off small pieces and putting some, cash either into bonds or just sidelining it in other more stable investments. And then when things are down, they're going to then take those bond positions and reposition them into the same assets, but at lower prices, so that when the market resumes, then you can go up big numbers. And I actually remember I called the 401k people and said, hey, I actually think the market's going to go down. Should you guys rebalance the account like in advance? Because the market was up at the time when I called. And they said, that's just what we do. Like, do you need money like short term? I said, no. And they said, well, that's just what we do. We're just going to keep investing when the market's low. And then when it's up, you're going to be up, and we keep trimming and we keep repositioning and recalibrating your account. So that's just nice when someone is doing that on your behalf, because over time that will be the strategy that ultimately grows, your portfolio. Because yo-yoing your positions, over time you will go up, but you will grow exponentially if you can trim and allocate your profits at lower prices. You're just going to keep, think about it. If you could really clip the top and buy the bottom, you'd be doubling your position every year. It's hard to do because it's hard to
what
sell.
the big whales in Bitcoin are doing is the reason, I believe, and maybe it's a conspiracy theory, but these Michael Saylors and these guys, they have lots of crypto, but they're not the biggest holders of crypto.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
To move a market of this size, I've talked to, some of these massive whales, and they talk about it, in the inner circles. They say that people are selling the market when there's not a lot of trade volume, when the markets are down, they're going and just pushing it all the way down so that they can go buy the bottom, and then you can live your lifestyle for the year and have the same amount of Bitcoin as you did before.
Yeah, totally. That's for sure. That's for sure what they're doing. And you're seeing, we saw on these, and they're using news events sometimes as coordinated dumping, triggers. And we've seen on chain major, major trading desks and exchanges and market makers do coordinated dumps. We watched it happen. I saw that one where they liquidated, billion something dollars in 60 minutes. They were, whether it's fears around war or, tariffs or, American Fed, policy, like they just use it as a market trigger to just dump 10,000 Bitcoins. And if you dump 10,000 Bitcoins, the market's going down straight up, and then if Wintermute and Binance and, Bitfinex and all these guys all do it at the same time, and they each jump, between 5 and 10,000 Bitcoins, market's going to drop. Bitcoin's going to go down 20% in an hour, so I think that's exactly what's happening. And then, and then grandma panics and she's like, oh shit, bottom's she presses the sell button, just jumps
preserve my life savings.
Yeah. People have been there though. Like you see it free falling, you're like, oh shit, I got to sell. Then you sell, and then it shoots back up. You're like,
Yeah, no, for sure. Those are like
There's
the
a- there's
best.
a
Those are
meme.
the best crypto memes ever.
I don't think that. I mean, obviously, there's people trying to kind of coordinated sell, but I don't think it's what's really moving the market. I think this stuff is algorithmic on account of the fact that
True.
you got a fixed asset. It's just very prone to bubbles. It's everybody piles on because everybody piles on, so everybody piles on. That there's there's nothing sinister about that. It's just everybody wants to get rich, so they jump on board, and that creates a bubble, and then eventually the bubble gets unstable, and then the really smart guy is the one that gets out first when the bubble starts getting unstable. But that's not that. There's nothing sinister going on with that guy. He's just him and all his buddies are like, hey, it's unstable. It's the top. Sell.
I think what I think is sinister is we know the liquidations that when they liquidate and create those, stop loss hunting, like they can see the depth chart and they can see where the open interest, short and long positions liquidate. And when they scam wick those liquidations, what happens is the money sweeps to the exchange treasury.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm saying is basically
making a wick.
illegal.
That's totally manipulated. And
That's what I'm talking about. And you're right, it's algorithmic, but it's malicious. Like it's not like, oops, some computer just fucking decided to, sweep the wick down to where all the liquidations were.
Well, it's not an oops. Some computer did do that, and it just was programmed to do it.
Right. I'm saying, yeah, you're exactly right. It's not an oops. It's hey, we just made $50 million in the last hour. Hey, high five, and some grandma, or some kid in grandma's basement just lost $5,000, and that's what's happening. That's what I'm saying is whacked out. That shit
still lives in grandma's basement. Keeps losing $5,000. That's not a sustainable lifestyle.
I met a guy who he said what he liked to do was sit there and wait until the market was really wound up, really tense, and he would just wait for that fucking wick. And when it happened, whatever the exchange was that he was on at the time, when liquidations happened, you could buy their contracts off of them. You could just click on the contract and buy it. So it would be like, I don't know. I'm just imagining it like Sonic getting hit in the wall and like the little gold falls everywhere, and he would just pick it up and pick up people's contracts when they got liquidated.
If I'll tell you right now, because like also trading is like gambling, so it's hard for people to when shit's quiet, it's hard for people to just stay on the sidelines. But if you do have the discipline to just trade on 5 or 6 days a year when the whole entire market goes nuclear, that's probably you probably be way richer than someone who trades every week or every day. I mean, it's just but it just takes a lot of discipline because it's very boring, very boring for like 99% of the year.
How about that guy that had he had a sell on XRP at some like stupid number that it just was never going to reach. And there was some glitch on one of the exchanges that it like had this like crazy wick that just went all the way up, and he got his price hit and just fucking cashed.
Ridiculous. It cashed out? It was a sell order?
Yeah, it was a sell order, but it was at like some stupid number that like XRP is not going to. And it just had like, there's some glitch in the thing where it just shot up. And
what's crazy is here's the effed up part. So I don't think that guy Carl the Moon, he opened up a leverage long on Bitcoin at like 17,000.
Wow.
And he's left it open for years now. And he's like, I'm just going to leave it open forever. The crazy thing about those leverage positions is that you have to pay to keep them open. So I don't know what kind of value. I mean, obviously you're up, 8x, right?
But it was a 10. It was a 10x on. It's gotten 8x, and it was 10x leverage on it. So it's just like
I know. That's what I'm saying. So he's up like millions on this position. I mean, he must be. You just have to think he's trimming it.
What is it? A percentage of the?
Well, the thing that's dumb about a leverage position, right? So it's like, let's say you open a leverage position at 18,000, like he did, or 16. I think it was. I'm not even kidding. I think it was like 16,000. I think he literally caught the bottom of the 2021 or whatever, like the bottom of that whole period. He opened up a long. So it goes all the way up to 125,000. Now you're all the way back down to 60,000. So you just lost all that leverage value. And it's probably a 10x or more maybe. And so now you're paying, like, it was up huge. I mean, he was probably up just millions and millions and millions of dollars. And if you didn't sell it up there and now it comes back down, you're still up, 5x, 4x, whatever. But you're paying every single day for keeping that.
Are you paying it off of the 16,000 or off?
It's not about, it's just you're paying. Yeah, it's on the 16,000
of a number.
It's just like a time value calculation. I actually don't know what the exact computation is, but it's basically just like a time value. You're just like, every single day they charge you a little bit of money. Yeah, for the amount of, no. Actually, it's not on the 16,000. It's on the leverage. So like if you have 16,000 10x leverage, then you have 160,000. So they're charging you on that 160,000 for keeping it open every single hour, literally by the hour. So he's had it open for years, and it just starts eating into your profit by keeping the trade open. It kind of incentivizes you to close it.
Doubt he's going to turn over his Bugatti for it.
No, he's not. He's just going to leave it. He probably just thinks it's like a funny little, rounding error.
It's a marketing expense for it.
But the crazy thing, the reason I brought it up is that I tried to do that.
We did it.
We just started too high. We were like, oh, I'm going to keep this trade open forever. And then when that market liquidated on Liberation Day, it wiped out all of those positions. Like positions that I didn't think, we'll never see that number again. Yeah, you did. And actually, Carl, he had like $3 or $4 million worth of leverage open when that Liberation Day wipeout happened. And if anyone wants to go watch, like, it's not funny, but it's kind of like a cheeky, funny YouTube video. Carl has it. It's basically him opening up his trading account. He's in Dubai. So it happened at night, our time. It was his morning. He like wakes up, has his coffee, sits down at his computer, and there's no trading positions open. And he's just like, he couldn't talk. It's like kind of a eerie, creepy video where he's just like he's like, guys, I'm speechless. Like, I just lost $4 million. Like, I just can't, I'm just going to have to shut this off. I can't talk. But that's what happened. I mean, you remember what those wicks were. They were so deep, so far down, numbers people never thought would be possible. And I actually saw a couple videos with people who got just absolutely washed out, I mean, it's just wild. So the exchanges had a great day. That was a great day to be an exchange owner. Just take all your customers' money in an hour, have a nice day. So anyway, we can kind of shift gears and talk this project that I heard of called PKT.
I've heard of it.
I don't know if you guys ever heard of it. Pretty cool. It's lost about 99% of its value. We think it's a good buy.
Yeah.
Level.
We're still here, guys.
But yeah, look, long story short, we have been working on this massive deal. Essentially, what we're doing is acquiring a company's assets, very notable brand, and what this will this will be an extremely notable and newsworthy event. We put down basically the deposit to secure a bid agreement on this deal. And we have been in a due diligence process now since basically September. When we got the bid agreement accepted, because we got a specific deal and it went through in a off-market transaction, meaning nobody was bidding against us, essentially. We just secured it. They wanted this deal to close in an accelerated manner. So we had this contract that said we had to close in, I don't know, approximately like 30 days or whatever. I actually forgot. I haven't read that contract in so long. So it's something like that. But we thought for sure that deal was going to close by the end of October at the latest.
Yeah.
Because that was 2 months from the signing of the bid agreement. And it's gone November, December, January. Now we're mid-February. And what happened is one of the conditions precedent, one of the requirements for the deal to go through was for us to get access to, all of the software, all of the data, all of the servers, and be able to just at least perform our due diligence on it. And due to the kind of nature of this transaction, the seller could not get access to the servers, which was on Amazon. And it's taken them basically another 3.5 months to get access to it. So we've been sitting on the sideline, essentially just waiting for access. And we got access on Monday. So that's very exciting. Finally happened. And so what that means, as far as the transaction is concerned, is it basically starts a clock from Monday of approximately 5-6 weeks for us to close it. And that's, paperwork, completing the due diligence, essentially the contract, for the sale. And then we would complete that transaction, next month, basically.
And giving them the money in duffel bags.
Duffel
large
bags.
$100 bills.
It's definitely a big deal. It's the biggest deal I've ever done. And it's cool because even at the number that we're getting it at, the deal could be 10 times bigger, which is pretty exciting if we were probably paying retail, and this, some of the circumstances that made this opportunity possible, weren't the case. So the vision, though, and how this kind of applies to the Packet project is that this is a service, essentially like a legacy streaming service that we, will begin operating. I think the biggest problem that I've had, involving ourselves with the Packet project over the last 6 years is that it's just nobody knows about it. And so it's like everyone wants marketing associated with it, but marketing a crypto project in an incredibly crowded landscape where, generally speaking, the people involved with these markets have very short attention span, are mostly just money driven, and they get in and get out. It's just like very hard to sustain a project in crypto. Clearly, doesn't matter what it is, if it's XRP or if it's some, meme project, they are mostly flash in the pan, other than maybe the top like 10. But even like the top
XRP, they're a special community that can take some abuse.
True. Very, very true. They are special community, but they're still not.
Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP they're real people who like pain, and
they're still not resistant to 50% drop, I guess is my point.
But they keep coming back with fucking a broken nose and just one arm. Like,
that's true.
I might get rich soon.
I think that the XRP community is probably the strongest, but like even those other big projects, the Stellars, the XLMs, the
Solana.
Solana. It's like you're beat.
You got to give it to Solana's community too.
Solana's down 80%.
Their blockchain went down every week for like the first 2 years that it started. So people stuck by it. So yeah, you got to give them that. But it's a fraction of the amount of time since XRP started. Anyways, we digress.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely digressed. Look, I think that the exciting thing about this and kind of the vision of how it intersects with Packet is that our intent is to connect the two projects in a tasteful way, so that the marketing engine for the service can include recognition, for Packet and inclusion of Packet as a utility, and then from there, being able to use Packet literally would be great within the service. And we have a couple ideas for how that can happen. But generally speaking, we just think that it's a natural integration in the sense that it involves obviously global networking. It involves kind of a consumer facing application, like an actual utility for the network. So it's not just so amorphous, like, hey, we got this network, it's just kind of like, hey, here's what you can do with it. And it's tangible. And it's not just like, hey, we started this new thing. It's like, this is something that people have known about for 20 years. And most people will recognize the brand associated with it. If they never used it, they've at least heard of it. So those are all some real positive elements. I mean, it's definitely a big shift in terms of, what we'll be working on a daily basis. But I think it creates a really exciting catalyst for what's possible to actually leverage the the Packet network in a meaningful way.
Yeah, no, it's super exciting, and we've been, yeah, it's just been so drawn out that I'm sure the community is frustrated, but we're frustrated. So
Yeah.
this big news is, just reinvigorating to have it, be put back on a track with a timeline, because we had a timeline, and we were super ambitious and drumming up a lot of excitement around it. And then, when it just kept getting punted a week and a week and a week, and then weeks turn into months, and you're just like, what is going on here? But now that this is definitively the one piece that we were missing to get things going. So anyways, we're off to the races now, and it's been cool because we, just kind of ran around and stirred the pot. We were over at Sundance, and then up in Tahoe, and then at Super Bowl, and got to just talk to a lot of people. And yeah, my days have been pretty packed just connecting with those people. We have some insane meetings this week with potential partners, and just the biggest brands in the world that we're talking to right now. And so this has just really changed the relationship to the industry and people taking this project seriously. When you look at the tech itself, and you kick the tires on it, any technologist can vouch for what Caleb has built. But when you're talking about the public and the masses, it's still kind of a brain buster. And so this just creates a real ease for what you can do at a base level. And then, all the Packet stuff that sits around it and that, supports it, that's just kind of icing on the cake. And we'll have real marketing dollars to bring people in. And we have tens of millions of subscribers and email addresses and people we get to communicate with, which will just kind of just change everything to the few people who are paying attention. There's a lot of holders of Packet, but the people that are paying attention will be able to really expand that attention economy.
Yeah, I think that's the one thing. Oh, the other thing I was going to say that I think is maybe even the most exciting piece of it is around, well, we talked about marketing a little bit, but is around celebrities and brands.
Yeah.
And so the other big problem with crypto, well, I think it's been almost impossible to market in crypto, is so every time a celebrity got involved with the crypto project, it turned out to be a scam. And so basically, whether it was Tom Brady or whoever, they got, in trouble. Floyd Mayweather, I mean,
Mark
a lot of
Cuban.
these guys had to pay like big fines and shit like that. Like they don't want anything to do with crypto projects because a lot of them are just bogus, right? And when you talk about and basically crypto's big story is trying to appeal to brands and big companies and, for there to be actual tangible utility. But the problem is that in reality, for the most part, at least, these brands just really don't need crypto. They just don't need it. Like they're happy to take a credit card and, what do they need crypto for? It's just too complicated anyways. And so as a result, you really have no major brands that are associated with crypto. Like probably the biggest brand associated with crypto is Michael Saylor's Strategy. And maybe you could argue like Elon Musk,
What does MicroStrategy do?
I mean, basically MicroStrategy, all they do is just sell their own stock to buy Bitcoin,
Yeah, but no, they do something. They because they did something before they switched to.
Oh, you mean like what do they actually do? They're an enterprise software. You could say they're kind of like a what's Ellison's Oracle. It's like that. It's like it's like an enterprise software,
like a ERP, SAP kind of thing.
It's got a whole suite of services. I haven't gone and looked into it what it does, but yeah, it does have they have a product. They have customers. They have things that they do.
His original idea was smart. You got a pile of cash, like cash in the bank.
Look, the guy effed up. It's actually what we talked about at the beginning of the call, because if he had trimmed 10 billion off of his Bitcoin holdings, yeah, the market would have come down a little bit, been like, oh shit, Michael Saylor's selling. But when the market came down, and now he's down 2 billion, so he lost 56 billion. Now he's down 6 or 7 billion. He could have redeployed that 10 billion, and that would have been a huge boon to his situation. So yeah, it's just like with Bitcoin, basically, you gotta trim your profits. But anyways, I don't want to get too distracted with that. What I was going to say is that with what we're doing, because we're talking about media, because we're talking about distribution, and that is kind of the holy grail in the entertainment space is media and media and distribution. That's what everyone's trying to do. Is media is marketing, distribution is access to customers, and since that's the business that we're veering into here, obviously utilizing our network infrastructure and networking rails to the extent we can, because they're not incredibly robust, but we want to use them. But because we're talking about distribution, we're getting to relate to these major brands that need this service for those purposes relating to their own business, whether it be marketing or accessing customers. And so that's going to enable us to associate with a lot of these brands, which kind of also associates Packet with all of these brands, big brands. I mean, we're talking about, sports, we're talking about entertainment, we're talking about movies, we're talking about celebrities, we're talking about big branded advertisers, etc. So these are things that you would never get access to ever in crypto. It's just no one wants anything to do with it. And so I think that's kind of a inadvertent benefit for the direction we're going, which is why we've been so, dog with a bone excited about it.
Yeah.
They always say crypto can be successful when people are using crypto and they don't even know they're using crypto.
Yeah.
And
I love that statement.
With this, it's a way for people to participate without even really needing to know if they are. I mean, it's there, but they can choose to participate or not, but it's connected, intertwined in the back end,
Or at least blockchain.
If you don't know if you're using it, how do you even know if you're using it, right? Maybe if you are overseas and you swipe your credit card, the message goes through Visa, but the way the bank transfers the money to the other bank, it's just easier to do a Bitcoin trade. And of course, they keep that under wraps because they don't want to be having people say, oh, this bank is adopting Bitcoin. Like they don't want that publicity. But if it's cheaper, they might just do it, and then you wouldn't know that you're doing it, so you wouldn't know what you're doing it.
Yeah, it's a good point, Caleb.
And the microtransactions, I mean, that's the biggest challenge is like, how do you go send 99 cents to 5 people? How do you split up 99 cents amongst 5 people? I mean, just the processing fees alone are going to exceed the amount of money you'd be making. So it doesn't make sense, some of these transactions without using blockchain and crypto. And so that's kind of where where you don't know you're using it, but you're using it, especially for, revenue transparency, real-time payments, like all these things are only possible with blockchain.
And immutable ledger.
Yeah.
I actually think one of the more exciting pieces of technology in the entire crypto space is actually what Base is doing. And the fact that if you're transferring USDC, that they eat the fees. Like that is not talked about enough, and I wonder if let's say you're a business that's doing a few $1 million a day in revenue. And if you're processing all of that or sweeping all of that across the network, transmitting it via USDC and saving all the money in fees. And now, of course, Coinbase gets you at the off ramp. They're like, hey, you can move as much money around in the ecosystem for free as you want. But the second you try and take it out to your bank, we're going to hit you with some serious fees. And for that reason, probably makes sense to be a Coinbase One customer, to just reduce those fees by a number, whatever the percentage is. It's a real number. You pay the membership fee per year, and it's not really cheap. But let's say even if you paid like $200 a year to be a Coinbase One customer, and then you withdraw a few, $10,000, you're going to save that, like probably just in that first withdrawal. So and if you're moving big money, hundreds of thousands, millions, I mean, you basically have to be a customer. It probably makes really, really good sense. But that said, that's probably one of the least talked about, strengths is on the USDC side. Now, from a security standpoint, USDC is not very secure, right? Like they can take your money out of your wallet. They could probably block you. Like that's not like a clean railed business. So of course, if you're doing anything that's untoward, stay away from that. Yeah, what's that?
Same is true of USDT.
Yeah, USDT, they can steal. We've seen crazy shit.
USDC, USDT, any of the US stable coins, they got to go buy treasuries. And whoever's buying the treasuries, the US Treasury Department is going to say, by the way, that address is sanctioned.
Right.
And what are you going to do, right? Because if you just say, oh no, we believe in privacy, no. They're gonna be like, all right, we're gonna put your treasuries on ice for a second here, and then you come back when you're ready to talk.
Yeah.
Somebody wrote, how will the announcement be rolled out? So we're just starting conversations with press. They're doing like an embargo on the information, and we'll come out with a press release. We don't know the exact date of that press release, just based on there's still a few spinning plates in the transaction, but that's kind of the first strategy, and ideally we can go kind of drum up a lot of press around it, a lot of information.
No, it's gonna be, the thing that's been tough about, again, marketing. We've spent hundreds and hundreds of, it's got to be, it's over 300,000, and I'm not sure if it's probably under 600,000. Let's just say somewhere in that ballpark in marketing, press releases, publicists, all the different PR news wires,
advertising,
marketing companies, advertising companies, articles. Just tens of thousands of dollars on articles. And the thing is every time that we go and pitch, it doesn't matter what it is about Packet. It is like, it's just hard to get people to write about it. generally speaking, they won't even write about it. They're like, hey, write an article for us and then send it to us and we'll publish it and pay us a bunch of money to do that, right? This announcement is going to be written about widely. And so the second that it's out there, when you have actual news that like the market cares about, like other people start to follow it, and like we won't have to be the core driver of communications. Like other people are going to just do it. And so that is where this becomes a big engine for and catalyst for kind of perpetuating the marketing without us having to do it every single day. And then the association with brands, celebrities, etc., like being in that conversation is every time that we want to make an announcement with being what this will be is gonna be a much easier climb in terms of finding people to write about it. And we've already found that. I mean, people are, it's news and noteworthy already. So that's the kind of the cool thing. Then when it comes down to actual marketing, which is like branding, synergies with other, whether they be brands, celebrities, messaging, movies, TV shows, like whatever, music, all the different things that we're going to do here. Then we have like an actual audience that's going to eat that up, and we kind of know what publications will publish that information, and it won't just be crypto centric, because like up to this point we can't even get we couldn't even get articles in crypto. Like we couldn't even get articles on CoinDesk for Packet. Like it was just super hard. We did get a couple, but it's just like every time that we would go and be like, hey, there's this new update to the Packet blockchain, or we have this new dashboard or whatever, people are just like, who cares, And that's just because crypto's tough, because I mean, even Cardano's not getting,
what it is. What it is. Every crypto-centric publication are a bunch of whores.
Yeah.
They will only publish things that they are paid to publish.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't matter if you've just cured cancer. If it's on a blockchain, it's going to be crickets from the whole crypto ecosystem.
It's true.
Unless you just go and shell out money. And you're up against total scams that have the money to shell out because they're about to take it from the investor.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Or total scams or multi-billion-dollar blockchains. And they're going, well, Cardano, like you guys are spending 20 million a year on, your market cap's 5 billion. So you're spending 20 million a year on marketing. Like, we don't need to write this article for free. Pay us 20 grand for this article. You want to talk on a stage about how you've just like created the most revolutionary technology ever? Pay us 50 grand for that stage time, And it's just, it's not like that generally speaking, but crypto, to your point, I mean, it's just a pay to play industry. And I think where we struggled with Packet, for how novel the tech was. And I mean, we obviously made, I would say the mistakes that we made with Packet were just not capitalizing on some of the key moments that we had where we were in the limelight, or we had good momentum, or we had a high market cap. There were things that we could have done at those moments that I wish that we did, where we thought things were, headed in a different direction. And that excludes all the freaking headwinds and just challenges and, just haters and people that were that forced us to put so much energy into BS rather than like a kumbaya, let's build this thing big and wide and have a real momentum behind it, put wind in the sails rather than the latter. Putting that aside, we still struggled with every single part of this because we just never had millions of dollars for marketing. And you just have to have, that's just bottom line. You want to play in this crypto sphere, you just have to have millions of dollars to spend on marketing. It's bottom line. You want to be a big project. You want to be an Aptos, you want to be these major hitters that are coming out, get ready to spend 20, $30 million on marketing. Even look at helium, what they did, tens of millions and millions of dollars on marketing, and it was money well spent. You know, they got their market caps up, they built massive communities. Until it wasn't, until you're down 99%, you know? So I think what we just kind of saw the writing on the wall, which was like, either, get off the bike on the freeway and do 50 somersaults and, you'll eventually come to a stop and it's over. Or you get off that freeway and you get on a side, road and for a little bit and you get on a bigger freeway. And I think that's where we realized was like, hey, let's get on a bigger freeway. This freeway is small. we're going.
Or get off a bike, go get into a race car, and then get back on the freeway. And now you're able to drive on the freeway and not be on your tricycle with your
100%. 100%. So yeah.
Well, this is our Lamborghini that we're about to jump in, and we're excited. People are going to take this ride with us because it's going to be a rip-roaring experience.
Yeah, it should be fun. It should be fun. All right, well, let's sign off. We did a full hour. I hope that was enjoyable to the folks in the back. And fire off any questions in the chat. Obviously, we know there's a few people paying attention, a lot of people sleeping, and we'll start rattling cages over the next, month and a half ish, whatever. We'll be back here obviously every week and keep you guys apprised of what's popping. And it should be a fun 2026. I'm really, really fired up.
Cool, guys. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you guys next week.
Have a good one.